Hey everyone, welcome to another session of the Era of the Dragons, a D&D 5e game that we like to run for you. My name is Mal. I'm going to be the game master for tonight. My pronouns are she, her. Silver, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Silver_Bulette here on Twitch as well as over on YouTube. And tonight I will be playing Fensiris Roxalar, who is a dragonborn rogue. She, her pronouns, and I use he, they pronouns.
Awesome. Levi.
Hello, I am Levi, and today I'll be playing Torsten Pinewalker, a half-elf artificer. His pronouns are he, they.
All right, Tara.
Hi, I'm Tara. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be playing Merlin Hendrix, a black chromatic dragonborn wizard with pronouns he, his.
And Jaden.
Hey friends, I am Siliquid Shaden. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me online as Fat Sapphic Bro. I play the tiefling barbarian named Grief. Grief uses he, they pronouns and also uses a combat wheelchair. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user in real life, so I like to play that in game. The combat wheelchair is designed by Mark Thompson, who you can find on Twitter at the username Mustangs Art. Welcome back to our new space here at Lantern Light Adventures. Again, this is where all of our TTRPG and related content is going to be on Twitch from now on, as well as uploaded to our Lantern Light Adventures YouTube channel. There's a link to our link tree in the chat right now that you can click, and it will take you to all of our various social media pages so you can follow us everywhere we are. If you want to keep up to date on everything we're doing, feel free to also join our Discord, which is linked in the chat. And if you want to play with us or GM for us, you can fill out the TTRPG actual play interest form, which is also linked in the link tree and in the chat. And once you fill out that form, I'll email you back with our TTRPG consent form, and then we can match you with games from there. Please understand we can't necessarily accept everyone, as we want to make sure our tables all share a good vibe and everyone feels safe and like they can have a good time. It also might take a little bit of time to get you worked into a game, but please be patient and feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you might have. And finally, per usual, we will be taking the last weekend of the month off every month and having no stream that weekend so we can work on editing and producing more content for y'all. So that means we will not be here next week, but we should be back again on December 3rd. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we shall begin. Let's start off with our recap. Some dragons have descended on Zarkan, and the city has fallen. Our heroes made a hasty escape to join up with an ally of Billy's, the artificer Torsten. Billy sent you all a letter telling you to cut off the head of the Restoration, the cult of the dragons. Upon contemplating that, he decided to make the long journey to west to Vrusea, the capital of the Elven Republic of Vasna, where you had previously been made aware of the cult's activity. After heading out, you got caught in a storm and took refuge in the small town of Rocky Hollow. You had heard mention that other refugees had made their way there, but had not seen anyone during the day. At night, however, you noticed more folks stirring and making their way to the Chapel of Sen. Upon being invited to attend the sermon, you find yourselves in the chapel. Father Ilum presides, and his 9-year-old daughter Hadwin is seated on a modest throne in the middle of the chapel. Father Ilum begins his sermon. He says, "Welcome, everyone. Tonight we shall see what the hungry star will reveal to us. First, I want to start with a passage from St. Lana the Gardener. It is when we feel pain in our hands from the trowel, the shovel, the plow, that we truly know what we are, that we are the same stuff as the crops and the soil. It is in that feeling of soreness that we know we are not superior. But pain is for a season, and when the harvest is done, we rest, we eat, and we are relieved. That is the true gift of Sen. I want to talk to you tonight about pain. We all feel pain. Some of us might even feel it right now, from clearing rocks, or maybe it takes residence in your body an unevictable tenant. Maybe the pain is not physical. Maybe it's the pain we felt as a community. After the mines closed, families left, when Ravinia was annexed and the lumber trade moved away from here, leaving people impoverished and out of work, or the pain of losing a loved one. He touches Hadwin, like when my wife and young Hadwin's mother, Kaya, died last spring. That's a pain that can leave a hole in your heart. Father Ilum lifts a velvet covering, often obsidian black stone, about the size of a grapefruit, unevenly shaped with harsh crags and bulbous protrusions. He gently hands the stone to Hadwin. Her eyes close for a moment as she feels the weight of this object, and then her eyes open, totally black. Father Ilum says, "To those new among us, do not fear, for we are now in the presence of a god. She has chosen young Hadwin as her vessel. Many here have received her blessing and her mark. Some have been granted great magical boons, and others have become so sensitive to the sensation of life itself that the sun itself has become too much. Everyone she has touched has had their pain lifted, their work relieved. I invite you all tonight to seek the blessing of the Hungry Star." And with that, a few people begin to stir. An older human woman will stand up and make her way to Hadwin. As this is happening, what are you all doing?
Intently watching and observing. I'm gonna hang out kind of more in the back.
Torsten
Merlin
is sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Torsten is doing something very similar, just kind of off to the side, mainly keeping his eyes on Hadwin, especially when she starts making contacts with people.
Okay.
Merlin sits against a tree, looking into the sky and contemplating life.
Did you go into the chapel?
Merlin does not recall.
It's up to you. I don't recall either, and that's okay. What do you
Yes.
think Merlin is
Yes.
doing? You think he went in? Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, what are you up to?
Well, she's hiding in that one back room, listening in. I think this is not exactly how her powers have worked in the past, but I think she's going to try to establish a psychic whisper connection with the old lady who's going up to get powers. Not to say anything to her, but to hear, like, if she throws out any internal monologue.
Hmm. Interesting. Basically just allows you to speak telepathically with each other, right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
So essentially what it's not so much in a sense of what is your inner more that, like, as a religious person, she's going to be calling out in her head to some power, and I want to hear it, what she's saying.
Mm, okay.
That's Finn's thought.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. This woman walks up. It seems like she has like kind of knotted joints, probably from arthritis or something like that. She goes up to Hadwin and she bows, and in her head she will be saying, "I beseech you, the hungry star. to take my pain. And she's just repeating this prayer over and over. And Hadwin's little hand reaches out, touches her forearm. Wisps of black energy kind of just emanate from the object in her hand and from her eyes. And her hand, for a moment, it flashes this energy, and you can see the mark that you've seen around as this child's handprint, and you can see the burn that's left by this hand and the just emanating sparks that go from it. This woman's whole color changes, where she, was a sunbaked, her skin was sunbaked. It is now, it loses color for a moment. She collapses. But she stands back up as some people gasp, others look intent. The Duke, Roxiel, is here, and he is just watching intently, like almost like he's taking in what is happening and everything. He's sitting with the other young girl you saw, clearly his daughter, and he's just watching, observing the same way you are, in a way.
And
This woman will stand up and she will stretch to a height higher than she was before. And she will say, "My pain is gone." And Father, go ahead and whatever you were saying, Finn.
Oh no, I was just going to say, is there any sign of the Duke having? I'm sure the Duke's wearing too much clothing, but have we seen that same mark on the Duke that everyone else has?
He is definitely, you have not seen him. He is wearing kind of, he's definitely some sort of spellcaster or something, and he wears something akin to that, still in the style of Crescent, but definitely he looks to be a member of the society, the Helaminor Society, the Society of Wizards and Mages.
Gotcha.
So he wears this like long robe, but it's in the colors of Crescent, this kind of scarlet and gold.
I guess the other question is what? Because this is the first time the Hungry Star has been mentioned. What do I know about the Hungry Star?
Give me give me a religion check or history.
Hey, religion makes sense. Ah, dang it. That's a 5+ numbers. Like I said, religion makes the most sense to me. So 8.
With an 8, you do not know. This is not a deity you're aware of.
Yeah. All right. Hey. She's gone pale. Okay. I'm gonna. Curiosity's getting the better of me. I'm going to use my psychic whispers and get into her head and say, "Tell me, how do you really feel?"
And you just hear her say out loud, "She speaks to me. She's speaking to me." And Father Ilum looks perturbed for a moment. This woman will think to herself, are you the Hungry Star?
Listen, not everyone will believe you. You must keep this to yourself.
Okay.
But I want to know. Does this feel like an improvement?
My burden is lifted. I feel new.
Let's see. Thank you, my child. You may return to your seat.
And she will do that. Father Ilum will say, the gifts of the hungry star for all, and he will kind of gesture towards you, all of these strangers in town. Do you have a burden you wish to lay down?
Not that I wish to lay down, Father.
What are the
You,
specifics for having a burden laid down? What does laid down mean?
Father Ilum will say, well, there's nothing specific, my child. It's whatever that means to you. We all carry something. But Hadwin sits here. She says, you hear Hadwin's voice, this voice of a small child, and she says, I can take anything from you that you wish to give. You must serve me. At this point, the crowd begins to murmur some. It seems like the prayers of this new being have not kind of coalesced. So people are kind of spontaneously praying in here to this new god.
Out of what are some of the phrases that are being said? What it sounds like they think is the right worship?
Some are saying things like, you know, some are relying on their worship of Sen, they lay down their plow, things of that kind of sentiment. Some are saying that, I am your servant. Some are just thanking this being for what it's given to them. And the whispers of these prayers kind of echo in here, almost like they're being reflected in this being.
After watching that whole phenomenon, had Torsten come across anything sort of similar to either this stone or the actual like burn effect?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
So when Torsten was doing his arcane studies, are either the stone or like the effect specifically ring any bells for him?
Yeah, give me yeah, I can say religion, arcana, whichever works for you.
Okay. Yeah, Arcana is what I'm angling for. Yeah. Not ideal at a 12.
A 12. Not that you have come across before. I mean, and there are all sorts of extraplanar entities, some that rival, the even the most powerful of clerics. Some that demand servitude. Whether or not they're gods is question, but you don't know anything specifically about this one.
All right, makes sense.
Can we know what this being has given to the person who is worshiping the being who says, you've given me so much?
you might have to observe them more closely.
Okay.
So it's up to you whether you would want to go up to them, or I could say the DC will be higher if you want to just try and suss it out. But I would say religion, arcana, or medicine.
Merlin will go close
Okay.
and observe deeply.
Give me a persuasion check as you come close.
14.
14. This woman, she has kind of long gray hair. She does seem to be in better spirits than when she was here earlier. She says to you, she says, "Are you going to seek the star's blessing?"
What does it mean if I do or I don't?
It's up to you, but everyone I know who has done it is happier. She gives us so many gifts. She helps this place that hasn't seen much help in a long time. And as she'll like kind of take your hand, go ahead and give me arcana, medicine, or religion.
The religion. Another 14.
14. It's kind of hard to say, but something's definitely different. Like, you're looking at, you're a wizard, you're used to this kind of almost like mechanical understanding of magic, and you are looking, you can tell the skin's different. You said you think this might be some precursor to some sort of undead condition.
Undead condition on my own accord, or my friend's accord, or whose
Oh,
accord?
wait, yeah, it's an this woman is now suffering of some sort of early stages of an undead condition. Yeah.
Oh, unfortunate.
Do you say unfortunate aloud? It's
Yes.
she will say, "What's unfortunate, dear?"
I feel waves from the universe, messages from the universe, that there is potentially impending doom within the 2-foot radius outside of us.
People around you are hearing this and kind of noticing you, and Father Ilum says, Father Ilum will go before Hadwin, and he will drape this velvet cloth over the stone and gently take it from her and take her into his arms as she now looks exhausted. And he says, "I'm afraid that's all young Hadwin can sustain tonight. Please return tomorrow." And she kind of moves in his arms like she's very tired, and he says, "Please return tomorrow. I think you all go in peace." And he will kind of, Fen, you see that they are coming your way.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, like, the second like he's wrapping up, Fen is as carefully as possible moving back to get out the back door whence she came.
Yep. Easy enough to do. You get plenty of lead time. People start heading out. They start kind of filtering out of this place. What would you all like to do?
Torsten's going to try to not super obviously, but not necessarily being secret about it. I'm going to start to move towards the Duke.
Okay. Easy enough. You can see as you come towards him, he is talking to his daughter, in a language you don't understand. It's probably some sort of dialect that he's speaking to his daughter, and she will run off after Father Ilum and Hadwin, leaving him alone in here. And he pulls out a small notebook and takes a few notes.
Actually, I didn't realize. Would the others have either let him know who this guy is, or would he just notice that this guy is like a noble and a mage?
If I recall correctly, it was mentioned that he is in town. Well, actually, I don't know. Fen, did you say something? I forgot about him.
I didn't say anything, but I think we saw the Duke in the tavern on our way out the door, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah, and he's wearing marks of station. He's clearly like, I'm an important person here, and it's really weird to see someone with so much status in this place.
Yeah. He will just kind of clear his throat. Excuse me. I can tell that you also aren't from out of town, aren't from this town. Uh, can I have your name?
He says, "You can. I am Dirk Roxiel.
Uh,
But if you wish to speak to me, here is not the place."
oh, of course, of course. Uh, I'm. Me and my compatriots are staying at the tavern. I would very much like to discuss a couple of matters with you at some point tomorrow.
Yes, I would like to rest for tonight.
Naturally.
I am staying in room 6. Please, if you and your friends wish to speak to me, I should be up by noon.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Your Grace. And we'll start to just leave with the crowd.
You all filter out. Yeah. You all filter out in the street. People are making their way. Most people are going to the tavern and will spend the rest of the night there.
I Fen is going to be looking at everybody in town as, nonchalantly as she can, and figuring out how many of them look particularly pale, in the same hue or worse than the old lady.
Give me a perception check.
Oh my goodness. I want to claim that's cocked, but it's a 1, so I'm gonna take the 1.
You don't have dark vision. It's a little dark on the street. It could be
Yeah,
just
that's
the
true.
lighting. Also, like, you can tell some people are just in general malnourished. You don't know if there's a difference.
Looks perfectly normal to me. Normal human behavior. Definitely normal human hues. Absolutely. This is what humans are supposed to look like, right? I have no idea. Okay.
You say to everyone in your party who is not human,
Yes.
or at least not
Yes.
fully human.
Yeah, that seems on its own, it seems relatively normal. But given some context,
Out of curiosity, have I clocked any other disabled folks, like visibly disabled folks?
Go ahead and give me a perception check.
That's nat 20 plus 3.
Nat 20.
Woo!
Yeah, there are people who this is a fairly small town, so there's not a whole lot of people in general, but there's still some people who have, limps or injured limbs, things like that, things
Mhm.
that would be visible, you know.
Okay. Just kind of curious.
There's some older folks that have that are like amputees and stuff that they clearly worked in, as Father Ilum mentioned, there was once mining and lumber here. So there are people who have, occupational injuries as well.
Okay.
But everyone, it's hard to say, who has received these gifts and who hasn't. The entirety of town definitely doesn't fit in that chapel.
And have I gotten any vibes from anybody? You and I have the evangelical history, and as a disabled person, when you are around evangelicals, there is a certain air about them. Do I catch any of that at all?
Um,
Like, are other disabled people here sort of pressured or manipulated into trying to receive this gift?
go ahead and give me. We're doing this kind of retroactively. Give me an insight check.
15.
15. You definitely get the idea that there is pressure as you were like approached out of the blue and invited to here as well. So you get the sense that there is some sort of fervor and pressure to become part of them.
Okay. Yeah, there's a reason I stuck in the back.
Um, I think Ben is going to try to keep to the shadows tonight, but see what's happening with the construction. Supposedly there was road construction, but no one could go out during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So she's
Sweet.
going to try to see if road construction is happening bizarrely at night.
Yeah. Um, you would have to. So you travel along the road. And it takes you a little while down the ways to get where the ravine has washed out, and you see that there is work that has been done, and there's no one here tonight, but
Mm.
you don't know if there was maybe people here during the day and you just didn't come down here and see.
Mhm.
And there were still like a few people up and about during the day, but it seems like most people have shifted to night. But work was definitely being done here.
Gotcha.
It's still
Okay.
not enough for like, it might be enough that if you wanted to leave on foot, you all could leave on foot.
Okay. Important information. Great. I'm gonna stealthily bring that back to the crew. Kronk style. Da 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 da.
When people pass by, gotta press up against the wall, naturally.
Yeah.
Torsten would have gone back to the tavern and just attempted eavesdropping, specifically looking out for people who either mention the old lady or Merlin.
You're looking for people who mention these two.
Yeah, yeah. If people mention it, just in conversation.
Mm-hmm. Give me perception check.
Alrighty, let's see here. Those ions. Okay. Deception. Oh, there it is. 18.
18. Um, so you're listening around and you do hear these two and that are talking. They're kind of like off in one of the corners of this place, and two human men, and they're saying, if we keep losing more people to the night, that might be a problem. And says the other one says, yeah, I wish more people would be joining us. Maybe we could. And he says, maybe we could finally stand up. Maybe we could finally fight back. Maybe we could leave the kingdom. And he says, Father Ilum says, one step at a time. And they kind of hush and go back to their food, and the conversation moves on. But
Okay. Do these men appear to have a sort of like working clothes on them or tools on hand, or are they just in casual wear?
yeah, they're kind of in working clothes. Yeah, they definitely seem to be workers of some sort.
Okay. Person will take a mental note of that, and then just gonna continue sitting there thinking. Actually, I think once Fen comes back to the group, he'll say, "Looks like seems to me like not everyone is happy with the situation. So between those two and perhaps a meeting with the Duke at some point tomorrow, we can get a few more heads together on this."
That's entirely fair. Also, just a heads up, everybody, we can leave town, I think, as long as we're on foot. And I know we talked about getting a wagon, getting some horses, but if we go on foot, it looks like the road has been fixed up. I just throwing it out there. I know there's listen, Fenn's gonna look around, make sure no one else is within earshot. Yeah. Yeah. And then she remembers, wait, in the heads. Gonna put it in everybody's heads. Yeah, so this town is all sorts of wrong. There's something wrong here. We all agree that. I don't know what's wrong. And I'd love to fix everything, but I don't even know if we know how, especially since we're trying to take care of other things. So just throwing it out there, if we need to, we can just bounce.
While there's absolutely more important work to be done, these folks in particular, I don't like that something is seemingly preying on them. So we will leave either once it's settled, or if there is a grave emergency to our safety.
Yeah, no. I wish I disagreed, but you're right. I don't think we should leave this just the way it is, but just wanted to play demon's advocate for a second. Just throwing it out there.
It is good intel to have.
Merlin's in favor of leaving town ASAP.
Reasonable.
But yeah, speaking of, hey Merlin, what you mean unfortunate? What was that about?
Oh, the grave impending doom of the Was
Yeah.
it the
Yeah.
I have to think about that.
About the undead condition.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh yeah, do you tell us about that?
Hmm. Was that before Seeking a Star's mission, or was that after? Don't remember.
Yeah, she was saying, yeah, basically you were observing the older woman, and then you said, and you realize that she's suffering some sort of precursor to undeath, and then you just said out loud, "Unfortunate."
Oh yes, yes. There is an undead condition.
Okay.
Vampires.
Well, what Father Ilum even said that some people can't go out at night now. So, I mean, vampires isn't out of the question. But also, this is not the way that I had heard vampires get made. On the other hand, I also thought that vampires were just fiction. So, man.
Yeah, we need a bit more info before we can uh land an exact form of undeath.
Well, here's a terrible thought. There's a back room. There's a back door that I got into tonight. I can go in there again while the ceremony's happening, and rather than listening in, I can do some searching around. Look for some clues back there while they're busy ceremoniousing up out there. Let you know what I find.
That seems, seems like a solid plan. I would accompany you, but my preferred method of protection is not exactly quiet.
No, yeah, that's
So are we hoping to find undead beings tonight?
I don't think. I mean, would we? It that you said that the lady is suffering from some sort of pre-undeath condition. I don't if that's what pre-undeath looks like, where it's just pale. I don't know aside from the paleness that we're going to be able to tell. They might be perfectly cognizant, but just beyond life.
There would not be much reason in trying to find them or see if there are precursor to undeadness beings.
The other thing is, it's weird. They seem to be worshiping a new deity inside the temple to Sen. I feel like Sen would have something to say to that. That seems wild, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't. By the looks of it, it's not at a point where a god would can be bothered to intervene.
Unless they approve.
Not surprising.
What? DM, what do we know about the god Sen?
The god Sin is a goddess. She's the mother of the fields. She is a goddess of agriculture and abundance, and yeah. Um, she is depicted in many ways by many peoples, as is true of most of the gods. Um, it seems, just putting a few things together, this place is economically depressed, and the god that they have served to bring them abundance may not be as strong in the front of their mind anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she's not a vengeful god,
Mm.
by any stretch. So
There. Okay.
in terms of like D&D alignment, she's true neutral.
Fair. I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do without more information. So I think we sleep on it. We meet with the Duke tomorrow. But also, let's post up a watch tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So you all finish your meal, go up, take a rest. And as you do, let's go ahead and take a break. So thank you for sticking with us. We're going to take a 5 to 15 minutes, somewhere in there. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back soon. Bye, y'all. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you were able to get something to drink, move your body in a way that makes sense to you, and hope you're here for more adventure. So, you all decided you were going to rest for the night. Yeah, you said you wanted to have watches for the night. How does that go?
Fen would probably offer to at least to go for first watch again.
Okay.
I can go next.
All right. Give
Then,
me. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
If you only needed to, that's great. But if you need a third person, would as well. Just make the shifts shorter.
Okay. Yeah. 3 shifts in the night makes sense.
Go ahead and give me perception checks.
Oh my goodness, really? That's a 7 for Fen.
Okay.
Very perceptive.
It's an 8 for grief.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And a 9.
Oh,
2
beautiful.
plus 7.
Well, luckily nothing, nothing really happens. Yeah, Torsten, by the time your shift comes around, the music downstairs has started to die down, and people are definitely filtering back to their homes. And it's fairly quiet as morning comes. So you all wake up from your rest. You have taken a long rest. So it's still, early morning. So you can do things, or we can just hop forward to noon. It's up to you.
Thorsten didn't have anything before the meeting at noon.
Are there any shoe shops nearby?
There would be. Yeah. Well, I say there is. There's kind of there would be a cobbler. So
Merlin goes to this shoe shop in hopes of finding a pair that's very, very, very comfortable for the long trek ahead.
Okay. Um yeah, so you go and you find a cobbler. Um the cobbler is this half elf woman, um kind of dark skin, uh, blonde hair. She welcomes you in. The curtains are drawn to her shop, and the inside is lit by candles instead of the sunlight outside. She welcomes you in as if nothing is odd about that, and she says, how can I help you?
Greetings. What, which pairs are your most comfortable for long treks?
Well, for long treks, you probably want something. It's going to be mostly about the waterproofing, a nice leather sole. Um, she says, I'm not sure I've made shoes for a dragonborn before, but I'm sure I could make you something. It might take me a little bit.
How much is a little bit?
Oh, better part of the day?
Oh my. Let me go check back in with my friends to see if they're okay with that or not okay with that.
Oh, I'm very excited for the task. I hope you, yes, do whatever you need to do, but I would love to make you a fine pair of boots.
Thank you. Merlin scurries off back to his friends.
All right. Anything else y'all want to do in this early morning?
Not this early, no.
Okay.
Fenn's gonna be watching just from their window, counting how many people are moving about during the daylight hours.
Yeah. You didn't roll good perception checks, so you don't know
No,
if
I did
anyone
not.
left before the sun rose. But as the sun is up, um you you see that there are probably 10 to 15 people who are out and about in town, um doing things. You see that some of the shops are open, but again, like curtains drawn, things look like they're closed when they're actually open.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's fun. All right, let's meet this Duke person.
All right. Yeah, you all make your way just down the hall to the largest room. Is a little bit of a stretch in this place, but it is the largest room here. You knock on the door, and a bald-headed human man opens the door, very uh kind of bows, clearly a servant of some sort, and welcomes you into the room. And there is a chair in addition to this room. It seems like the chair was brought with them, as it does not match the rest of the decor of this room. And there is the Duke sitting here, and there is a tray with his breakfast, and he is eating. He says, "Oh, please come in, come in."
Breakfast. Forgot to eat breakfast. Whoopsie doodle.
It's the most important meal of the day. You should really consider eating breakfast.
Probably a good call on that. So I guess we have a couple of questions for you, Duke. First of all, how long have you been in town? Did you come in with the other refugees from down south, or were you already here?
I was already here. You see, I've been here on some personal research.
Mm,
You'll
mhm,
notice that things are a little odd in this town.
mm. Just a bit
Agreed.
off, yeah.
Well, initially, this word of this stone and the worship of it drew my attention, as I am the chief artifact curator for the Helminor Society. And any new artifacts should be cataloged and properly assessed for their power. So that is why I came here. It's been several weeks now, just observing what all this thing can do in its natural habitat. Father Ilum has. Father Ilum was a washed up priest when I first came. Didn't have much direction. I honestly thought he would quit. But this stone seems to have been a boon for him.
Mm,
How did he get it?
From what my daughter tells me, Hadwin is actually the one who found it. She was playing near some grotto nearby, found the stone, but she talks about it almost in a way that it called to her. And it seems to have an affinity for her, which is very interesting indeed.
I feel like I've heard about artifacts like that in the
The-
past.
All of you aren't here, and you're new. And he points to Torsten and Merlin. He says, "Where's that? There's another half elf that was with you at the meeting. I was looking forward to seeing her."
Yeah, she unfortunately was uh yeah, injured in the dragon attacks. We were in the town when it happened. Um it was we had to not that we had to leave her, but she is elsewhere getting tended to, as we
Okay.
do not have the skills.
I hoped that the envoy of the druids would be here, but it doesn't matter. You will suffice. Now, I fear for the small girl's safety. You'll notice that Father Ilum has changed. I believe he is suffering under some new form of vampirism.
Okay,
Told you it
that's
was vampires.
yeah, got that strong sense. What have you observed night wise aside from these ceremonies?
So these ceremonies haven't been every night, but he is picking up steam with them, trying to do them more and more. I think honestly he is avoiding acknowledging his own hunger. And he will need to feed eventually. I fear
Interesting.
that he was the first to honestly and earnestly worship that artifact, and it changed him.
That's concerning. So this all started a number of weeks ago with
Mhm.
how long would you wager it is until Father Ilum finally breaks?
Well, that's hard to observe. This strain of vampirism hasn't been well documented by the society. It seems to be new. It seems to. This thing is from not of this world, as far as I can tell. I would need to take it to my laboratory and do further studies. Right now, I'm just in an observational stage. Now, I would like to move my work to a laboratory setting, and that is where I believe you can help me. You seem to. It seems there's some level of providence that you are here.
Ah, yes. Um. Okay, so you get a strong sense that Father Ilum is falling to vampirism. Is that also the case with everyone that she touches, or is that something else? Because one of us got a strong sense of undeath
Mm.
from the old lady that got the blessing.
I believe that they are, at least half of them are coming under some form of vampirism. It seems to, if anyone has any injuries or illness, it seems to take on a form of vampirism, as whatever this thing is takes their body and tries to mend it in the way that it profanely can. I don't believe this thing is of any sort of divine origin. But again, I would need to take it to my lab to determine it further.
So, as far as you know, Father Ilum hasn't fed on anybody, unless he's
Nor have any of the others.
okay. That's what I was going to ask.
Now, my understanding with most forms of vampirism is that there's a first kind of a bee queen situation, and the rest will follow. So I believe if he feeds, this will become a scourge on us all. Now, I was prepared to call in troops, but if we can nip this in the bud quietly, it would put less pressure on the society.
That's a
Interesting.
smart move.
You've proven yourself capable against this whole restoration nonsense. At least the two of you have. I don't know these other two.
I've yet to join in on the confrontation proper. I only met these people the day before yesterday.
He kind of looks down his nose at you about that, and he says, "Okay. Well, anyway."
He comes highly recommended though. Yeah, you bet. You know Billy Bones, right?
Hmm. You can tell he holds back something. He says, "Yes, I do." Mr. Bones is a good friend of the Crown Princess.
Yes. Well, yeah. So, Billy knew that we needed some help and sent us to Torsten's way. So I think you can believe in Torsten the way you believe in us.
Fair enough. Now, you were talking about the ones who returned undead. That's only half of our problem. The other half, who have sought this thing's favor, are under some sort of have pledged some sort of fealty to it and been given boons, similar to that we've seen that people who give fealty to fiends.
Oh. Oh. Gotcha.
Now, this presents a problem to the crown of the Southern Reach. It doesn't bother me as much. What's a few more warlocks here and there?
You gather up enough warlocks, you've got a pretty strong army.
Yes. But they're also fickle.
Hmm.
And their patrons are usually not as politically aligned.
Two halves making a very volatile whole. So,
It's quite fascinating, isn't it? One small artifact shows up in a town and it becomes a hotspot for a whole region.
a dangerous thing indeed. If this goes much further.
Now, my goal is to get the young girl Hadwin and this artifact out of here into safety.
Yes, that is a major part of my thoughts on this as well. The fact that the town may go through a withdrawal after the new deity is concerning, but that is a sacrifice that will have to be made.
Where do you intend to take her?
I intend to take her back to Crescent. To where I can observe this in a controlled setting. With society wizards at my disposal who can help contain such an artifact.
I mean, if this object, if this artifact is turning people into warlocks, I mean, you're probably already there, but there's a strong chance that this artifact contains a warlock patron of some sort, right?
Yes, that has crossed my mind. But I think it more likely this is a piece, a fragment, maybe even a mouthpiece.
Okay.
I'm sure if it was anything similar to a fiend, we would see a lot more of its presence than just a stone.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm only in the observation stage, gathering data.
Our plans before this meeting involved primarily acting during one of these ceremonies. Obviously, actually securing the girl in the stone would be far too risky. Are there any times when when the two are separated and each alone?
The young girl and my daughter have become good friends, and they seem to play around the village just fine, and I've been encouraging that to keep them separate. It seems Ilum doesn't fully regard this being as he at least sees his daughter as separate for the time being. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's the way Ilum seems to feel. The good father seems to think his daughter is just a mouthpiece instead of something new and different.
Fortunate. As for the stone, has Hadwin mentioned where it's kept?
He keeps it at the altar.
Hmm.
it would be easy enough to take, but I fear that that would send him into a blood frenzy.
Yes.
Hmm.
And the last thing we want is some vampire lord, holding a region captive in some sort of odd stalemate with the rest of the realm.
So confront Ilum before acquiring the stone. Whether that means convincing him or more likely eliminating him, if it comes to that.
You are welcome to handle this however you see fit. But there is financial recompense if you were to help me.
That is good to hear.
What we're thinking, he pulls a purse, he says, I could easily pay 600 gold.
That is a fair price for this.
Now, Father Ilum tends to pray to this thing before his little ceremonies. Maybe we can catch him then.
Catch him alone.
Hmm.
Torsten will kind of nod. Is there anything else that is need to know about what the stone does or any behaviors from Father Ilum that you've observed?
My observation of him is that he's a deeply hurt man. And that's often a volatile thing with religious zealots. I don't know what he is capable of, if he is similar to a standard issue vampire or not. He's been suppressing that part of him. Though from what he told me in confidence, he did seek out to live for his daughter. It's odd. The being kind of seems to have given him these gifts in response to that. It has some sort of sentiment, or it just seeks his worship.
He appears to be a powerful tool for this thing.
I don't know what it's deriving from all this. That's a little bit inscrutable, but I appreciate your assistance in furthering my research.
Well, it's simply a an easy resolution to something that we were already hoping to do anyway.
I'm glad that our goals have aligned.
Yes. I would hate to keep you much longer, Your Grace, but if there's nothing else you need to know from us about regarding the stone, I do have another topic I would like to speak with you on.
Of
Uh,
course.
Uh, it, the the way that I've been working with Sir Bones and the way that these folks know me, because I have been working on this, and he will kind of gesture to his armor. A number of years ago, there was a very fatal accident that I was involved in most of them survived, but we lost a few folks to an earthquake, a strange quake in the middle of a mine. My arm was deeply injured, and people in my family killed. So I would spend the next several years working on is, and then he will kind of flick his wrists, and a pair of gauntlets will flip onto and around his hands, the suit. And he will demonstrate a couple more features. I'm hoping that this will prevent more accidents and lighten the workload. Sir, Sir Bones and his assistants has been very, very helpful. But even after a few months, we're only on the first, well, I guess, second prototype. Now, I assume that you are quite busy, and the other mages have a lot of plates to keep spinning. But not as a member of society, but as a political figure in Crescent. I think that the workers among the people that you are governing would improve from such a thing. If you were to fund my research in a way that you see fit, we would ensure that you would be among the first to acquire a more mass-produced version of the suit.
He looks at it. He pulls out kind of like a jeweler's eye and takes a look at this, and he says, it's almost vulgar in a way. These runes and well, it is interesting. I don't know if it would suit the pursuits of the Helmenor Society, but, and he gestures to a servant and he says, I'll take down whatever information and I'll pass it along to whoever deals in this kind of magic.
That is all right. That is all I ask.
He says, he almost looks as if this he's looking at this armor as if it's dirty. Like he won't touch it directly. He just keeps observing it, and he says, well, that's all well and good. It looks like you are proud of it.
I will reiterate, we are still in the prototyping stage.
Understand. And where were you trained?
I am primarily self-trained. I have picked up the different elements of what I've needed to learn here and there.
Maybe an apprenticeship might be good for you. Learn how to do this properly. I can look in to see if there's any junior mages who need apprentices as well.
That would be, and he's trying to avoid getting his feelings hurt. That would help with the progress as well.
Very well. I will. And the servant is just sitting there writing. He says, I will send this along to some of my juniors who might be interested in this kind of work.
I just have one last question before we leave you, you Dukeship, and that is, you mentioned that those who are experiencing this undeath in town seem to have been injured in some way or form. Has your research told you what Father Ilum was suffering from before his vampirism?
No, I was not able to ascertain that. We might have to do an autopsy on him to determine that.
Gotcha.
Which would be very interesting, I'm sure.
Would it not be easier for us to try and take it during the day when he's presumably asleep?
That would be, like I said, easy enough to just steal the artifact. But a vampire lord is something that must be dealt with. I don't know if you are familiar with undead containment practices.
I don't know if grief is either.
Probably not, as you are not a cleric.
No, not really.
It involves mostly priests of Vergus. There's a whole protocol to properly dealing with all of this. It's massively expensive. If we can just clean this up on our own, it'll save everyone a lot of time and money.
Wrap the stone during the day and then brace for impact.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? It's one priest. How hard could it be?
Yeah, one priest and possibly every other undead creature now in town, but I mean that there are more than one doors into the temple. We could maybe try to secure him while he sleeps.
Yes. You could do it. Like I said, you would be the experts in this kind of thing. Usually I hire the clerics to do this. It's not my thing, but it seems that their focus has been elsewhere lately. Zarkan was the largest attack of dragons, but there have been many attacks from dragons across the realms. Seems things are escalating, and getting good help from clerics is getting harder and harder.
Right. Okay. Well, we appreciate your time. We will figure out a good plan for continuing our investigation, as it were, and we will let you know before we do anything rash.
I appreciate that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must finish my meal and be on with my day.
Your Grace? Then he stands to leave.
He will kind of wave you out.
As soon as like the doors close, vulgar. I have other priorities.
Yeah. I have a plan. I don't know if it's just absolutely idiotic, but hear me out here. How much daylight is left, GM?
It's still midday, so you probably, I mean, it's already past the autumn equinox, so probably got a good 6 hours left.
Okay. I would very much like your backup here, but my thought is back door. I go in, we find where he's sleeping, I'm going to intrude into his mind rudely, and convince him it's time to come back to Sen and step into the light. Is that foolish?
It has acceptable levels of idiocy.
Acceptable levels.
Perfect title for the episode. Wonderful.
Acceptable levels of idiocy. Yep.
Yes. Ending this in a way that's peaceful is ideal, but if he is already attempting to restrain his hunger, then it is more likely than not that he is too far gone. Still worth the effort.
Well, yeah. I mean, either the Duke is right, and he is vampire that is not feeding, and therefore stepping out into the light is a bad idea for him. And I mean, literally, come to the light. Or, we find out there's a different problem, and light doesn't actually hurt him. Either way. Important bits of research all around. Y'all on board? We got daylight left.
I'm agreeable
Yeah,
to
I'm
it.
on board.
Okay. We are going to the back door, so walk casual. Best you can. Move casual through town.
So you mean I can't take my quarterstaff and just start twirling it around in an artistic way while we head to the back door?
I mean, whatever casual, like, what would you normally do? Just try to be as inconspicuous as possible.
Okay. Can do.
All right. Everybody set?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So the plan is to basically go to his home while it's daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the home for Father Ilum is kind of tucked away back from the street. It seems to be along a walking path behind the temple. It is a shaded pine grove back this way. And dappled in the sunlight is a small cottage, seemingly just big enough for a small family. Whereas most of the homes, this home is constructed mostly with stone and with a thatched roof. The curtains are drawn. There is one door entrance into the home. Ostensibly, there's probably one in the back as well. As you do see there is a small fenced off area behind the home as well. What would you like to do?
Which door looks like it has the most sunlight? Because you did mention it's a shaded area.
Yeah, I would say the front probably has the most sunlight.
Okay. Fenn's gonna look around, see if daughter is up and moving around anywhere and could cause problems.
Give me a perception check as you approach.
That's historically. Oh my goodness, it's an actual number. That's fantastic. It's a 20.
A 20.
Not nat.
You see, as you are in the street approaching the temple to get back to this area, you see that Hadwin and the Duke's daughter Gerda are running in the street, playing with some other children.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. You all will station yourselves beside the building real quick. And keep an ear out, please. And Fenn's gonna you check the door to see if there's any traps, which is something she hasn't done in a long time.
Give me an investigation check.
Wow, 18 plus numbers. Investigate. Oh, geez, that's a 27.
A 27. There are no traps. Honestly, there's barely even a lock.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. He's a priest, presumably. Fen will pull out her little toolkit and just as casually as she can, just pick that lock as best she can.
All right, give me a thieves tools check.
Oh, not as good. That's what is that? That should be a 12.
A 12. Yeah,
Yeah.
easy enough.
Okay.
What counts for a lock is actually just like a small piece of wood that's like nailed to the door that like goes into a slot. So you just like get your tools up underneath it and push the piece up, and
Huh.
the door creaks open. You are greeted by a single room home. There's one bed, and seems to be a smaller pile of things for a child to sleep. Just some blankets and a small mattress that seems to get pulled onto the floor. And underneath in the bed is just piled on blankets. You can see some sort of form underneath all these blankets, but you don't see, there's not like whatever's underneath there is completely covered. There's no fire going. There's no light.
All right. Finn's gonna crouch down, kind of just to get eye level as best she can with whatever this is, as quietly as she can, and tries to connect with its mind, and then starts backing her way towards the door because she doesn't need to be in line of sight. And she says, Ilum, you have brought a false god into my temple. You have prevented death, and only death can lead to rebirth. But you can right this. Ilum, you must step into the light. Please rejoin me in the light.
You give me a deception check.
Please be. Oh boy, that's an 11.
Okay. This figure, whatever's under this blankets, begins to stir, and like the blankets pull over, and Father Ilum is underneath these blankets, and he looks. Are you hiding?
I have, if you give me warrant to have done it, because I only need to be within a mile, I think is weird.
Yeah.
How far I got.
Yeah.
I have, like, once I made the connection, she has backed out the door to join the party.
Okay. So you're not looking in here to see any of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Just listening more than looking. Here, listening for stirring.
You hear as the words come from Ilum. Who is this? You hear it echo and warp and distort in your mind. Who is this?
Ilum, there's still time to right the wrong. You care about your daughter, and you can protect her, but you need to turn away from this.
Give me a stealth check.
Mm, mm, mm. Wowzers. 24.
24. Okay. Fog begins to roll in this clear day. And you
Okay.
see the door open as fog, where there was once dappled sunlight, there is just a foggy mist here. And Ilum stands at the door. And for a moment, his eyes reflect back at you all, but you are out of sight of him. And he looks around and he says, "Whatever fiend you are, get out of my head."
I am no fiend.
You are not
Though-
Sen. Sen has never spoken to me. Who are you?
I am one who cares about you and your people and your daughter. And this is not the way.
You're a liar. And you feel the ground underneath you kind of shift as rats begin digging up from the dirt around
Ew.
here. So, and rats just seem to start swarming this area. I will tell you one more time, get out of my head.
Ben will not respond to that.
He will wait at the door. And as he hears nothing, he shuts the door. The mist begins to fade. The rats scurry off in multiple directions, but mostly clear out. The sun begins to dapple this grove.
So, how'd it go?
Well, he can summon rats, so that's important news. Also has a way to blot out the sun, apparently. So there's that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
You probably would have all saw the mist roll in for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Good use of
All right.
gathering intel, but now he's on edge.
Plan B?
Maybe. Time to get our hands dirty.
I'm all for that, but what does that entail? Do we follow the Duke's advice and confront him while he's worshipping at the altar? Or do we deal with him now? We don't
I
apparently
wonder-
have the advantage I was hoping for.
Well, last night after the service, when Hadwin did what she did, she was then much weaker. And I wonder if that would be to our advantage. So it might not be a terrible idea to try and attend service again and then initiate something after everyone starts to leave.
Not the worst idea.
Good strategy.
Or we could be waiting at their home or near their home.
That would bring less attention to ourselves.
True.
My one concern, I just want to throw this out here. I don't. The Duke mentioned that Father Ilum seems to be getting stronger and stronger. So even though Hadwin seemed weak, it is possible that with each new person Hadwin cures, Father Ilum gains some sort of extra power from it.
Yes.
That's a good point.
So do we find our way into the temple, find a decent place to hide out until he starts worshiping at the altar?
Well, yeah, maybe let's head back to the temple. I'll get us in, and we can first of all investigate the place, see if there's any signs of anything concerning, and also find good hiding spots for when he does come in for worship.
Sounds good.
So, as you plan your assault against Father Ilum, to find him at the altar and confront him, that's where we're going to end for tonight. I love running this game. I'm excited. Just a reminder, we're not going to be playing next week. Holidays, and also it's the end of the month. It kind of all works out. So last week of the month we typically don't play, but it's also a holiday here in the US. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do our sign-offs. Jaden.
Hey, I am Siliquid Jaden. You can find me on all of the social medias under the username Fat Sapphic Bro. Mostly hang out on TikTok and make a variety of random content. Come hang out with me if you want to.
Awesome. Tara.
Hello. I currently do not have much of a social media presence or a social presence. So I'm around.
Awesome. Levi.
Hello, I am Levi. You can find me at LeviPhips97 on Twitter and like the jeans at bluesky.social. This is the main main public thing that I'm doing now, but I am hoping to change that sometime early next year.
Awesome. Silver.
Hi, everybody. I am Silver_Bulette here on Twitch as well as YouTube. Every other Monday, we run a Capes and Caverns session, which is a Dungeons and Dragons superhero nonsense that I wrote up, and we are playtesting, and it's a lot of fun. If you want to come see us, that's 8:30 Pacific time every other Monday here. And if you want to see what in the world we did in the past, go over to YouTube, Silver_Bulette. You can find all of that. Otherwise, you can find me on TikTok as at All the Webs a Stage, which is my old podcast name where I just do silly D&D stuff and sometimes, play stuff. Why not? But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And I'm Archangelic. You can find me here Sunday nights, not next week though, at 7:30 Pacific, running this game, Era of the Dragons, for these wonderful people here. Thank you, wonderful people. You can also find many links for me on my website, archangelic.space. I'm on the job hunt, so if anyone can help me with that. If you've missed any of our games, you can check them out on YouTube. The link is in the chat as well as the description for the channel. Actually, that might not be true. I actually might not have edited the description for Lantern Light Adventures. So that's something I need to fix. We also have a podcast. Just search Era of the Dragons wherever you get your podcasts. The link is also in our link tree. If you want to support this game and any other possible future projects, you can support me on Patreon. Link is in the link tree as well. And lastly, thank you, .user, for helping us stream. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you for your producing help. We all appreciate you. Thank you all again for tuning in. We love you, and we hope to see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.